We heard a lot of talk yesterday about the Jazz and the Knicks, and are the Knicks still in the driver's seat for Donovan Mitchell? And I'm here to tell you, absolutely they are. Now, I know that a lot of people have talked about the Washington Wizards. I know a lot of people have talked about draft picks, unprotected draft picks. Do you see any way, shape, or form that the Washington Wizards can swoop in and steal this from the New York Knicks?
No, and I think that what's really interesting as far as the Wizards are concerned is if you look around publicly, there's not really been a definitive offer on like, hey, they offered X, Y, and Z, and they feel really good about that. All we're hearing is that they feel really good about the offer that they submitted and feel like they're in, quote, the running for Donovan Mitchell. And my biggest thing here is that still, when you compare the Knicks offer in that 3-team scenario, there is no no other team that's going to be able to match that. Now, if you said to me, hey, the Wizards want to get involved as a third team and they want to compete with the Lakers to be that third team, okay, I could totally understand that. I can definitely see that, how the Wizards would want to add,
right,
a Bojan Bogdanovic or maybe a Mike Conley or, whatever the case may be. They want to add a certain player that the Utah Jazz have. I could completely see that, but I just don't see how the Wizards or, frankly, really any other team in the league is going to come up with the draft compensation and the young players that the Knicks are able to come up with. And so that's why I say, like, today's sort of headline is like, where is Donovan Mitchell going, or where are they going to trade him to? I just think that it's such a wasteland of a ton of teams. And what's funny is you only really have one team in the Knicks who can make that substantial offer. So to me, it just doesn't make sense that Danny Ainge would change course here, deviate, and be on the Knicks for like 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden make a right-hand turn to go to Washington with Donnie. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
But I think one of the things that's very clear is that this RJ Barrett thing, I think is exponentially been blown out of proportion. Like, I mean, massively blown out of proportion. I don't believe, and I've said this for months, go back and watch, I don't believe that RJ Barrett was ever going to be a deal breaker in this trade.
Right.
I think the young talent, the Quickleys, the Grimes, the Toppins, the McBrides, those are the guys that are going to be the deal makers or breakers for the Knicks. And when I look at the Washington Wizards and I look at their cap, I just don't see the talent there to get a deal for Donovan Mitchell done. Now, I also understand that, obviously, Kyle Kuzma is a guy that has ties to Utah, but does Kyle Kuzma really excite Danny Ainge far more than an RJ Barrett does? I've been told he does not. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that you have the young talent needed in Washington to make this trade happen. I mean, they barely would have the salary cap number, the salary numbers in total. You'd have to use, I think, 4 players from Washington coming to the Jazz to get those numbers to work just at a minimum threshold.
Yeah.
I think this would be a very difficult deal for Danny Ainge to justify with the Wizards. And Jake, I still think the Knicks are in the driver's seat on this deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely agree about the RJ Barrett thing, about it being blown out of proportion and like people kind of freaking out over it and like in saying like, oh, well, this means that the deal is dead and RJ can't be moved. And it's like, yes, in certain scenarios and certain complexities, RJ Barrett could still be included in this trade. But I think the bigger thing here that people need to understand is, once again, and I know this is kind of cheesy, but it's a process. Like, I feel like, again, that Leon Rose tried to set this like arbitrary deadline and tried to kind of dictate to Danny Ainge like, hey, you're either going to do the deal or we're going to sign RJ Barrett. Even though we've heard all along that RJ Barrett was not at the core of this deal. And so it just surprises me. Like, frankly, I was surprised that Leon Rose took that approach of like setting this deadline and trying to sort of dictate in the situation. And I understand that, both of these organizations can't just sit on the Donovan Mitchell pot for forever and, and be okay with that. That's not going to work. But to try to set a timeline, leveraging RJ Barrett just didn't make sense to me. I could
No.
kind of see if you wanted to leverage Grimes because Grimes has been the coveted player and you want to say, hey, like we're either going to get a deal done or this current setup is not going to work. We're going to take Grimes off the table. I can see that. That to me makes sense. But this whole RJ Barrett situation, I agree, is blown out of proportion, has I feel like stirred the media drink, if you will. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a deal like still happened. I mean, who would be surprised if Sunday, let's say, or like over the weekend, there was a Woj bomb saying Donnie got traded? I mean, I don't think anybody would really be surprised by that if these two kind of came together.
But if you look at what the Knicks have compared to what the Wizards have, I mean, you start looking at numbers on the Wizards salary cap. I mean, Bradley Beal, $43.2 million, not going to happen. Kristaps Porzingis, $33.8 million, not going to happen. Will Barton, $14.3 million, not going to happen. Then there's Kyle Kuzma at $13 million flat. Okay, let's surmise. Let's just surmise that Kyle Kuzma could be involved in that, which, again, I'm just telling you, I don't see that as a real possibility, talking about the Wizards, that a $13 million Kyle Kuzma number is going to excite Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
But let's just say, because you got to have somebody of value in there, right? So Kyle Kuzma at $13 million, Monty Morris at 9.1. No, that's not of interest.
No.
DeLon Wright, $7.8 million. No. Rui Hachimura, okay, $6.26 million. I think he has to be in the deal. Now if you put Hachimura and Kyle Kuzma in and add Donovan Mitchell, are you a better team if you're the Washington Wizards? I don't think you are. And that's only halfway to the salary number that you need to get to.
Right.
So right there, if you go down a little bit, Danny Avdija, Johnny Davis, like those are both $4 to $5 million players.
Right.
Okay. Is Taj Gibson somebody that the Jazz would be excited about? Certainly not. This is the Knicks deal to make or not. And I think if the Knicks and Jazz don't make this deal, I've been told that the Jazz have no problem bringing Donovan Mitchell to training camp because I just don't see another deal out there that matches what you're going to get from the Knicks. And again, this is why I've said Leon Rose has handled this very, very well.
Right.
Danny Ainge has handled this very, very well. You can tell they are both savvy operators. Leon Rose did not let this deal interrupt Knick business with RJ Barrett. And I think that, all these reports out there could be true that Danny Ainge had to have RJ Barrett. I have been told the opposite of that RJ Barrett was not a deal breaker, that the Jazz did not want to pay RJ Barrett. And now that he could make up to $120 million.
Yeah.
It makes sense that you wouldn't want to extend him if you trade Donovan Mitchell, right?
Yeah.
I think this deal can still be put together. It is simply, does Leon want to give up Emmanuel Quickley? And I guess Grimes? Are you really telling me? And I know I said this yesterday, I'm sorry, but are you really telling me that Quentin Grimes is the deal breaker in a Donovan Mitchell New York Knicks deal?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds kind of silly,
Man.
right? If you really kind of get into that and sort of digest it a bit, it does sound kind of silly for the Knicks to say, yeah, we're not going to do a Donovan Mitchell deal because we don't want to give up Quentin Grimes. And to me, it's kind of the price you pay. Like, if you want that premier player, that win-now player, you have to give up your future. You can't have it both ways. Like, that's why I think when you look at, like, the Golden State Warriors model and what they've put together, that's why it's so special, because they've been able to accomplish what few teams have, which is, hey, we're winning now, we're at the top of the sport now, but we also have our future on the roster. And so with this Knicks and Donovan Mitchell thing, I'm not suggesting that Leon Rose has some expectation that Danny Ainge would allow the Knicks to have their win now guy and their future. But I just think that Leon this is a tough task. I have to be honest. Like, because of where Donovan Mitchell is as a player, this conversation would be way easier if you could legitimately and comfortably say, yeah, if we sign Donovan Mitchell, we're Eastern Conference Finals, contender, no doubt about it. Like, if you could say that the way you can say it with guys like Kevin Durant or, the other whatever name you want to come up with,
right?
This conversation, like this deal would probably be done already, I feel like, because at that point, then you're like, yeah, I am willing to give up Grimes. I am willing to, give up my significant future assets because I want to win now. So I'm not trying to make it an indictment on Donovan Mitchell. I just think it's where he's at as a player. It's where he's at in his career arc. So we'll see. But I just think that at some point, this conversation has to be put on pause or the deal has to get done. Like, you have to get to the business of moving on now, whether that is doing the deal or whether that is saying, hey, we're going to pause or we're going to, just kind of put talks on hold for the first month of the season, let's say, or, whatever they decide to do. I just think we're getting close now. What's today? Today's the 31st of August. Like, you're basically going into September now. Camp is a month away. Like, you're not far away here, man. Like, It's time to get moving on this Donovan Mitchell stuff. And I just think that, more so for the Knicks than the Jazz, in my opinion, but you got to know who you're going into camp with. You do. And that starts with your star player. So I think they got to figure it out quickly, very fast.
Yeah, I would agree. This hour of the show is presented by Barbecue Pit Stop. Make sure that you check them out online at barbecuepitstop.com, bbqpitstop.com. Check them out in Layton, Lehigh, Logan, Salt Lake City, and St. George. Just simply put, the best barbecue equipment store in the business. I mean, no matter where you are, you can shop online. If you're not close to one of their stores, feel free to get to their website, bbqpitstop.com. A full selection, whether it's a smoker, a barbecue grill, maybe you're still that briquette guy, which, man, you got to get out of the Stone Age. I'm telling you, to get into a Traeger smoker, they are unbelievable. Whether it is their Ironwood series, their Timberline series, no matter where you're going, I love Traeger, but they also have Yoder's, Big Green Eggs, your flavor. They've got it at Barbecue Pit Stop in Logan, Layton, Lehigh, St. George, and Murray. Don't forget, we'll be there at the Lehigh location on September 17th. Super stoked to tell you we're going to have Papa Murphy's Pizza on hand for you. We're going to smoke it. We're going to have wings on hand for you. We're going to smoke those. All of their great rubs and spices will be on hand. It's going to be an amazing day as we watch BYU and Utah, BYU and Oregon. I must make that mistake 3 times a week.
Hey, it is what it is, man.
We'll watch BYU and Oregon, a watch party. Then at halftime of the BYU-Oregon game, we are going to announce the winner of our BYU drive away to see BYU and Notre Dame at the Shamrock Series in Las Vegas, where you are going to get 2 tickets to that game. You're going to get 2 nights at the Palms Resort Hotel and Casino and a $250 gas card to get you there. It is our BYU Notre Dame Shamrock Series drive away in Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium. If you have not been there,
amazing,
spectacular,
absolutely amazing,
absolutely spectacular. And with football kicking off, you've got about 10 days to get to the barbecue pit stops here in Utah. Again, they are in Logan, Lehigh, Layton, Salt Lake City, and St. George. There's a box on the counter. Fill out the slip, drop it in. And you could be going to see BYU and Notre Dame.
Quick life hack, really quick, with Barbecue Pit Stop. So you can go in to enter our contest, right? But when you go in there, ask them about winning a smoker. We've had multiple listeners go in to enter our contest, but then when they went in, they also entered to win a smoker because Barbecue Pit Stop themselves gives away smokers all the time. So if you're somebody and you're saying, hey, I want to get a smoker, or I want to, whatever the case may be, I want to get a certain thing from Barbecue Pit Stop, odds are they're doing a giveaway of some kind. So we've actually had 2 people in the last, I think probably 2 months or so on the different giveaways Barbecue Pit Stop do.
Within the last 3 weeks.
Within the last 3 weeks.
Lauren Miller won it.
Yeah.
And then Dwayne
Boone
won it. It's crazy how many people have won a Traeger smoker on this show.
So ask them about it. Ask them, because we've given away a Traeger on the show. 2 of our listeners have then gone into Barbecue Pit Stop and won a Traeger. So if you want one, if you're interested in a smoker, go in there. If you're not interested in a smoker, still go in there. Check out the seasonings. I'm just going to say it once. Italian Chop House seasoning. You're welcome. Go and buy it.
That's amazing.
Yes,
Absolutely
go and buy
amazing.
it. Go and buy it.
So, having said all that, check them out online, bbqpitstop.com. That is how you're going to get the hookup at Barbecue Pit Stop. Hey, by the way, Big 12 breaking news coming up in 14 minutes right here on Monty in the Morning. We will have huge news regarding the Big 12. Don't forget, in an hour and 15 minutes, Harris LaChance, BYU offensive lineman, will join us to get you ready for BYU and USF. Don't forget, that game is Saturday, 2 o'clock Mountain Time. Doesn't that make it 10 a.m. Maui, Kona, Hawaii time?
Hui!
Yeah, we're going to be in Hawaii on
Hell
Saturday
yeah. Hell yeah.
for that game. By the way, something to consider. BYU is a 12-point favorite in that game.
Dude.
12 points on the road in South Florida at Raymond James Stadium. BYU is a 12-point favorite.
Dude,
so we'll talk to Harris LaChance coming up again. I want to remind everybody that Harris LaChance and our BYU drive away, like Papa Murphy's is involved in that. We're kicking off here in 3 minutes our Football at 50 segment, brought to you by Papa Murphy's. Use promo code Monty25. Monty, Monty25. When you order your Papa Murphy's pizza, it gets you 25% off an order of $25 or more. That saves you about $7.
Yeah.
So that's really good money. So a couple other things I want to get to because, again, as football season is, we're days away from kickoff now. We are going to be doing Football at 50, 10 to the hour, every hour. We bring you the biggest stories in football. That's coming up here in about 2 minutes. We'll get back to Knicks and Jazz, as well as this breaking news story that we're going to get to in a minute on Football at 50. So all of that is coming up on the show. We'll get back to Knicks and Jazz. But I just want to say, I see all the Knicks fans and the Jazz fans here. My bottom line on Knicks and Jazz, this is a Knicks deal to walk away from or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as we have talked about for, I don't know, weeks, the most pertinent question when it comes to Don and the Knicks, is it time for the New York Knicks to walk away from this deal? Because they've offered, I have confirmed it through multiple sources, the New York Knicks have offered the Utah Jazz as many as 3 unprotected first-round picks, and Danny said no. Danny wants 4, which is why the Knicks went out and got the Lakers, as we reported last week. Lakers and Jazz and Knicks had a deal done in that, and I want to be careful because I know this freaked a bunch of people out. They had 4 unprotected first-round picks going to the Jazz in that deal. And the simple part of it was the Knicks just didn't want to include IQ. They didn't want to include Quentin Grimes and Obi Toppin. Like, they didn't want to give away all of their young players and 2 of their own picks for Donovan Mitchell. And I think they could have added a Jordan Clarkson. They could have added other pieces there. I just don't think that Leon Rose has enough of an appetite for Donovan Mitchell to say, you know what? Yep, we're going to give up 3 young players, 2 unprotected first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think Leon Rose is there.
Yeah.
I really don't. All right, let's get to Football at 50, 10 to the hour. Every hour, we're bringing you the biggest stories in football, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. Make sure you use promo code Monty25 to get 25% off your Papa Murphy's order. You can order online. They have a great, easy-to-use app. All you got to do is plug in promo code Monty25. Breaking news this morning out of the Big 12. The Big 12 enters early TV negotiations with ESPN and Fox. Pete Thamel had this story first about 15 minutes ago. This is a big, big deal. If you are a Big 12, Pac-12 merger fanatic, this is a big one. This is so smart by the Big 12. I think this is incredibly smart because now what it's going to allow you to do by entering early negotiations with Fox and ESPN, it's going to allow you to put a dollar value on your membership and those prospective universities that you are looking to add. I'm talking about you, San Diego State. I think that is the big prize in Southern California. And when you look at what the current situation in the Pac-12 is, You don't have a California TV market south of the Bay Area. So you've got Berkeley, then a little bit below that, you've got Stanford and Palo Alto, and then you have nothing. San Diego State is a huge bargaining chip for the Pac-12 and the Big 12. And Jake, I think this is a big deal that the Big 12 is going to early negotiations with Fox and ESPN.
Yeah, it's exactly what they should be doing. I think that your point there about valuations and kind of putting a number on the different opportunities, whether it is San Diego State or any other school that would be considering entering the Big 12, like, I don't know, some school called Utah. I think it's really important that you kind of put numbers to this and understand what you're really looking at and what the TV money looks like for these different markets. And yeah, San Diego State, because of what you just described, is ultra important to the Big 12, in my opinion. And I know, we talked 2 weeks ago about how there's politics out there in Stillwater, and you've got, some folks who don't want San Diego State in the Big 12, but, frankly, it's California, and geographically speaking, the Big 12 could use a little bit of spreading out, in my opinion, specifically West. So I think this is smart. I think that the Big 12 is, like I said, I think the third tier conference when you look at the national landscape. I think eventually college football turns into this two-conference sort of juggernaut, but until that time, I think if you're the Big 12, you just have to proceed forward and understand that the Pac-12 is getting dissolved. As we're referring to it now, the Pac is dissolving. And I think the Big 12 understands that it needs to define, those different markets so it can do business. So this, to me, is brilliant.
Yeah, Football 50 presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. As we talk about the breaking news this morning that the Big 12 has entered early TV negotiations with Fox and ESPN, and I think this is a predatory move. That's the best word that I've been able to come up with. I think when you look at the Big 12 and you look at what Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, is doing, he is telling the Pac-12, we are valuing all of your assets, and we are ready to come in with a hostile takeover.
Yeah, it's like Monopoly, right? Like you're the guy selling all your houses, and the other guy's like got to value them all. That's exactly what this is.
Well, and frankly, I don't think the Pac-12 wants to sell all their other houses. To be fair, I think that the Pac-12 realizes now that they're in real trouble. And if you look across this country and you look about, the available real estate in college football, there's not much. Mm-hmm. And when you start to look at places like the ACC, you look at, stories of the past, like the Big East is a really interesting example of a conference that essentially has disappeared. And you look at where the ACC is, you look at where the Pac-12 and the Big 12 are. One of those conferences is going away. Maybe all three of them go away. I don't know. But I can tell you in the near term, the Big 12 or the Pac-12 is going away. And my feeling is Brett Yormark is doing the exact right thing here. He is going to do everything that he can do to eviscerate and evaporate the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And I will just again say, if I am the Big 12, I am going after San Diego State. I am going after Utah. I'm going after the Arizona schools. I think if you're the Big 12, you'd really like to add Cal and Stanford. But the other thing that this does that a lot of people aren't talking about is I think this puts the Big 10 on notice to say, hey, now the Big 12 is activated. Because what did we see Brett Yormark do over the last couple of weeks? Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark was traveling the conference, talking to presidents, meeting with his membership, trying to get a real firm grasp and build a foundation that allowed the conference to move in the same direction, unified together, which is exactly what the Pac-12 has not done.
Correct.
Which is how USC and UCLA wound up in the Big Ten. But I can tell you, Commissioner Warren in the Big Ten, they're ready to move. They don't have to wait. They can do whatever they would like to do. And now it would appear that this is that domino that we've talked about. Somebody's going to push the dominoes over and they're all going to fall. I think that's exactly what the Big 12 very well may have done this morning by opening up negotiations early with Fox and ESPN, because I think ESPN has played this perfectly, by the way. I think ESPN knew if they got in early on the SEC that they would save money. They knew if they pulled out of the Big Ten negotiations, they would save money. And I think they are going to leverage a deal where there is a merger between the Big 12 and the Pac-12. The next time I hear that will not be the first time that ESPN has a vested interest in seeing these two conferences come together, because all that's going to do is flood ESPN with content, because then ESPN gets one big conference where they can have, Pac-12 After Dark. Well, they can have Big 12, Pac-12 combo, whatever that conference winds up being called.
Yep.
They can have all those teams in one pot. They can have multiple late window games that they can dominate. They can then compete with Fox and NBC on this Saturday late night package that NBC announced that they're going to have with the Big Ten. I think there's a lot here, Jake. I think that the Big 12 and ESPN have acted really decisively and very wisely when it comes to the business of college football.
Absolutely, and I think the Big 12 and in the Big 10, I think it makes sense to me that those two conferences would be talking. The commissioners of those two conferences would talk, and they'd say, okay, we got to eat up the Pac-12. Like, hey, we're the Big Ten. We're going to take this group of teams that we've talked about ad nauseum, the Oregons, the Washingtons. We're going to take some of these teams, and then you guys can have the rest. And frankly, I think a lot of people characterize that, hey, you guys can have the rest portion as a bunch of trash that wasn't valuable. But I think this whole concept of the conference talking to ESPN has made it valuable. They found a way to make it valuable. And I'm telling you, and it's not going to happen tomorrow or even in the next 5 years, but I'm telling you, inside of a decade, college football will be two super conferences running the entire country in the SEC and the Big Ten. And these moves right here to swallow up the Pac-12, you're going to get rid of the Pac-12, and that's going to turn into, obviously, the Big Ten and the Big 12. And then I think eventually the ACC is next on the chopping block, in my opinion. Not now. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not a month from now.
Boy, but you've been saying that for a minute. Why do you feel like the ACC is that team that's vulnerable?
Because I don't think that the ACC, from a football standpoint, has any sort of punching power. That is a basketball conference, and I think when you get down to it, what speaks and what pulls weight in college athletics?
Well,
money.
yeah.
And I think that when you look at the SEC, they've led the way in meaningful football revenue generation, TV contracts. Like, they've been leading the way. And I'm telling you, the Big Ten is in the middle of all of this. They're not the number one conference in the country, but they're the one that's making the most moves. And so that's why I say I think eventually, again, not tomorrow, not in a month, not even in 5 years, but I'm talking about like from big picture, decade to decade. I would not be surprised if we saw a lot more of this like conference disappearing stuff.
And you see on the screen Pete Thamel, ESPN College Football Insider, tweeting this just about 25 minutes ago now. The Big 12 and its TV partners, Fox and ESPN, have agreed to enter early contract discussions about the league's next television deal. The conversations will begin soon and come a year and a half before the contract's exclusive negotiating window. This is a big, big deal in college football.
By the way, Utah, you might want to win against Florida this week.
Well,
just pointing that out.
And I'll put that Kyle Whittingham quote back on the screen where Kyle talked about, hey, it's important for the Pac-12 to make noise on a national scene whenever we get the opportunity like that. We have to make the most of it. If you want to gain respect, gain national attention, you got to come out and win some of those games. Hopefully we can go down there, Gainesville, and play like we're capable of. That's Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham right there. I mean, I think he's just
on point.
He is acutely aware of what's on the line for Utah and the Pac-12 when his Utes, number 7 in the country, Saturday at 5 o'clock Mountain Time, a 3-point favorite at the Swamp against Florida. This is a big moment in time for Utah. This is a big moment in time for the Pac-12. So, wow, what a way to kick off our first Football at 50.
Hell yeah.
Presented by Papa Murphy's with big breaking news. The big breaking news is Papa Murphy's Pizza is amazing.
It is.
We talk about this all the time. We just talked about Barbecue Pit Stop. If you have not smoked a Papa Murphy's Pizza, and the best part about Papa Murphy's Pizza, it's take and bake. You make it, you customize it any way you want. They build the pizza for you. And the nice thing about Papa Murphy's is they have a really easy online setup. You can use their app, which I do. I'm a member. You sign up. It's free to have it. They give you points. So they give you free things like desserts. When you order, pizza from them, you order enough pizza, they give you free chocolate chip cookies that you can bake. Like, they have all these great, items to just help you get free dessert.
Yeah.
And now with Papa Murphy's, if you enter promo code Monty25 at checkout, you get 25% off your order at $25 or more. All you do is go online. They have gluten-free crust. They have regular crust. Like, my favorite pizza at Papa Murphy's is a custom pizza.
Yeah.
Traditional crust. I get barbecue sauce.
Yeah,
on it.
barbecue sauce is a pizza hack. I mean, just flat out is a pizza hack. And I think that, that's the cool thing here. Like, if you don't eat a lot of pizza, try Papa Murphy's. And if you are thinking about smoking pizza but not sure, come to the event. We'll show you how to smoke pizza. That's literally one of the reasons why we partnered with Papa Murphy's, because we smoke pizza a ton already, and we wanted to share that. And it's a huge thing. And we didn't know anything about it before we had a smoker.
Yeah.
So it's one of our favorite things now.
And now it's absolutely changed the game. So you put that barbecue sauce, you put the cheese on there. Now, I'm typically a sausage guy when I get my pizza. But at Papa Murphy's, usually I get mushroom, their onion mix, which is fabulous, and green onions with a little bit of pineapple. More cheese on top of that. You throw it on a 425-degree smoker. I don't know. What do you think? 25 minutes?
Yes, and make sure it comes on when they make the pizza. It comes on a little paper sort of tray of some, it's not actually paper. They call it a paper tray, but it's it's heat resistant. You can put it in your oven, on your smoker. Leave it on the tray. Pop that thing in the oven or the smoker, preferably the smoker, and just go for 25, 30 minutes, depending on how crispy you want it.
I would.
I'm hungry.
25 minutes. The crust is perfect. The Monty Show. Welcome in. It's good to see you here, friends. We have a lot going on this morning. Don't forget, 1 hour from right now, Harris LaChance, BYU offensive lineman, will join us every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Harris will be here to talk BYU football, presented by
Papa Murphy's.
Papa Murphy's Pizza. Tomorrow, by the way, on the show, we have another huge sponsor announcement. So we're kind of ballers at this point.
We're
you know
moving.
What I'm saying?
And by the way, I have to say, I know we're going to get to sports here again, but I have to say, you guys have done an incredible job at Barbecue Pit Stop. They are thrilled. They are super happy. They're going to continue on the show. We're really pleased, and we're really happy about it.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game. We need you guys to support our sponsors, and we really appreciate when you guys do that. I mean, we're all here for the sports and the lifestyle, and Jake calling me fat every day. That's what we're here for.
Fat.
But you supporting our sponsors is absolutely a part of that. Let's get back to the Knicks and the Jazz, because
Get back to it.
I actually think this is a big deal. The latest on the Donovan Mitchell trade rumors is now all of a sudden the Washington Wizards, according to sources across the NBA, believe that they have put themselves in a position to make a competitive offer for Donovan Mitchell, one that Danny Ainge would like. I just don't believe that they can. I mean, the talent on their roster that would be coming back in return for Don isn't even close to an Emmanuel Quickley, even an Obi Toppin.
Mm.
And I don't by any stretch believe that Obi Toppin is some kind of superstar. But I think that when you're talking about a Hachimura or a Kuzma, I don't get excited about that. And when you look at the money that would have to come back in return, you're talking about probably 4 players at a minimum to make this Jazz Wizards deal work 1v1. You're looking at 4 players at a minimum, and Kyle Kuzma is almost certainly having to be one of those players.
Yeah.
I just don't see how that works. And I look at the deal the Knicks can make with the Jazz, and if you can get the Lakers involved in that deal where the Lakers end up with Mike Conley and Bojan Bogdanovic, they give up 2 first-round picks that are unprotected to the Jazz. The Knicks get in on that deal. They give up 2 first-round picks that are unprotected to the Jazz. And you add a guy like even if it is Emmanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin, that to me, 4 unprotected first-round picks, Quickley, Toppin, the veterans to make that deal work, and Evan Fournier, a Cam Reddish. if you've got to take back Russell Westbrook's $47 million, hey, I'm all good with that. That deal works to me. The Knicks win, the Lakers win, the Jazz win. That's how trade circles go round and round in this league.
Yeah.
Leon Rose was not willing to make that deal on Monday. Is he willing to make that deal by Friday? I have no idea. Is he willing to make that deal by the time training camp starts? My guess is he will. At some point, Leon Rose, if the Knicks and the Jazz continue to talk, and my sources tell me they are, I got to believe that Leon Rose is going to come to the middle because he really has resisted on, and again, I have a hard time. It's even hard for me to say that we're not making this deal over Quentin Grimes.
Yeah.
Like, with all due respect to Quentin Grimes.
Right.
And he's a fabulous young talent.
And with all due respect.
Has Quentin Grimes shown you anything that makes you say, well, we got to hang on to him from I mean, Donovan Mitchell's a hell of a player, but we can't give up Quentin Grimes.
Well, in this concept that the Knicks need another guy, like you're clearly in win now mode. You're clearly in chasing a deep playoff run, like making a difference, like being a contender, being relevant. That's what the mode the Knicks are in, and I just think that I agree with Knicks fans in this whole concept of, hey, you can't give up the farm for Donovan Mitchell because then you can't go and do more like during your offseason. Like it really limits your options. I agree with that concept, but I also agree with the concept that if the Lakers are willing to give up those 2 unprotected first-round picks and you are only giving up 2 unprotected first-round picks, that big hurdle about the picks is out of the way. It's taken care of. The Lakers are happy with Conley and Bogdanovich or some form or fashion of that portion. So the Lakers are good. This is like as a third team, you're good to go there. The green light is on. It's just a matter of Grimes and these players, this player combination, it feels like at this point. And to not do a deal for Donovan Mitchell over Grimes, to me, is just silly, man. Like, crazy. Like, do the deal. Go and make other deals after the Donovan deal. Ride the media wave. Ride the positivity. Ride the train that is Donovan Mitchell in Knicks threads. And see what happens.
I'm sorry, did you say Knicks threads?
Yes, dude.
So you mean the fit that he would wear?
Yes. Yes, that's right. That's right. That's correct.
That's awesome. I don't think there's any doubt this is a Knicks deal. I just don't. I think all this other stuff is smokescreens, the Charlottes, the Wizards. That's cool, man, that you want to get in and make a deal for Donovan Mitchell. The Knicks got you beat here.
Yeah.
Leon Rose, if he wants to make this trade, he can make this trade. I would be really surprised, just knowing the way that the Jazz have operated through this whole thing. I'd be really surprised if Donovan Mitchell wore any other shirt that wasn't a Knicks shirt. I mean,
with all due respect.
Even the Heat. The Heat would, I think, with what the Heat have in-house right now, they'd have to make a 4-team deal to get this to work.
I just don't think the Heat are a contender.
And the other thing here, the question you got to ask yourself is, we've heard all about a Charlotte, Lakers, Jazz 3-team deal.
Right.
What are the Lakers going to get out of a Charlotte deal? Is Terry Rozier enough of a guy? Because let's say that Charlotte ends up with Donovan Mitchell, which I think is a pipe dream. Let's say the Knicks are out of this altogether. Charlotte ends up with Donovan Mitchell, and they're willing to give up a Terry Rozier and a Gordon Hayward, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Is Danny Ainge interested in acquiring Gordon Hayward for Donovan Mitchell?
No.
Are the Lakers really hell-bent? Now that they got Pat Bev, are you really trying to sell me that they're going to take a Terry Rozier? That math doesn't add up for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's not a championship roster in LA.
Yeah, I think if I'm Danny Ainge, I'm not interested in Gordon. I am somewhat interested in Terry Rozier. I think. See, here's the thing: the Lakers portion of any conversation is very straightforward. We've got these 2 unprotected first-round picks, and we want Bogdanovich or Conley or both. Bogdanovich really is the value piece for them, because they need the 3-point shooter in the corner. That's what the Lakers need. And I just look at these other teams, like I almost feel like it's just a melting pot of these fringe teams who want to be involved but can't do what the Knicks can do, and we're just hearing a lot of noise around it. And I'm a big believer when it comes to NBA trades and how business is done to keep it simple. Like, it's very much, in my opinion, a line item thing for the most part. Hey, first hurdle is for Danny is I need 4 unprotected first-round picks. That's the first hurdle in any Donovan Mitchell trade. That's what we've heard consistently. We can all agree on that. Okay, check that off, right? We've got that covered. 2 from the Lakers, 2 from the Knicks, right? Okay, other teams looking at this are saying, okay, well, we could replace those 2 that the Knicks are offering, so we can check that off. Then when we get to the players, that's when the separation occurs because the Knicks have so many young players that Danny Ainge covets, and other teams don't have that opportunity. I think we can definitively say Danny Ainge would be way more interested in a Quentin Grimes young player package than he would be in Gordon Hayward or Terry Rozier. So that's why I say
I agree with that.
Like these other teams,
I agree with that.
Like these other teams, like it's all fine and dandy. You have picks, but if you don't have the young players to go with the picks, you're not in the running. So let's stop talking about the Wizards or or Toronto at one point. Like it's going to come down to Quentin Grimes.
Which is,
out.
Again, not to be redundant, that's crazy to me. All right, 45 minutes from now, Harris LaChance, BYU offensive lineman, will join us to get us ready for USF. He is going to join us every Wednesday morning, thanks to our friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza. All right, first in this morning, and we have a lot of comments today.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, listen, really, it is so humbling to us that you guys show up here every day. We talk NBA, we talk college football, we talk NFL. We never talk baseball, even though we'd like to. Aaron Judge hit another home run last night. Fat Albert Pujols did not, thankfully, or at least I don't think he did. Good morning, Neville93. First one in today. Good morning, fellas. I feel like the whole state of Utah is burned out with the trade talk about Donovan Mitchell.
Yes, they are.
Amen to that.
Amen, bro.
Kurt Meyer says aloha. Aloha.
Aloha.
2 flights or 2 sleeps in a plane flight.
Let's go, baby.
And we are in Hawaii, yo.
Hawaii.
We'll be there on Friday afternoon. Note to Danny Ainge, do not trade Donovan Mitchell Friday morning.
Swear to God, Danny.
Wait, you want to be under the news cycle, right?
Yeah, Saturday morning. It's fine. Saturday morning, we're good.
They did trade Rudy on a Friday, July 1st. I mean, let's see. Dave Heath says, good morning, the best talk show. Thank you. Appreciate that. Zayman says, the Doppler Don radar removing the Jazz from his media. A trade seems to be on the radar. Sucks. I want Doppler to stay. Doppler.
The Donnie Doppler radar is in full effect.
Are we making too much out of this Donovan Mitchell social media thing?
Yes. I think that it goes to one of the first comments you read there, that the state of Utah and probably just basketball fans generally speaking are burned out on this Donovan Mitchell situation. And I don't blame you guys. I'm burned out on it. We've literally had conversations on this show about the fact that we're burned out on it. So I think everyone's in agreement on that. And I just think that's why I keep saying at some point here, you got to, crap or get off the pot, as the saying is. Like, you got to move on from this, bro.
That's not the saying.
Well, I'm trying to be nicer with our language because now we have sponsors and, 3 months ago, I probably would have said it the right way. But, I'm trying to be considerate.
Yes, I would agree with you. And I put the pictures of Don's social media up there. I mean, listen, there's one thing I want to point out to everybody because I think this matters. If you look at this right here, do you see where you have that link under the Be Humble with the hands right there? That's a link to Adidas basketball. That's a link to a promotion. Okay, so that's one. Then if you look at his Instagram, you'll notice there's also a link there. That is a link to a promotion that he's doing with a grocery store. A lot of guys in this league do not have their team affiliations on their social media.
Yeah.
And when you look at his social, and again, I just point you to both of these. This is his Instagram. There's his Twitter. He has got branded content links now added to his social media. Was the Utah Jazz there previously? Absolutely it was. Is this some huge deal where the world is coming to an end? I don't think it is. I think we make way too much out of this.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Pudge NYC, what's up with you, my friend? What's up, Monty and Son? Congrats to Broadway Barrett on getting that bag. Well deserved.
Broadway Barrett, I like that.
You know what? RJ got paid.
Yeah.
And I always think it's funny when guys like RJ get paid. There's always the haters coming out of the woodwork. You understand that now he is paid generationally $120 million. His kids will never want for anything.
Yeah.
So there's the old saying, that, easy times make soft men. Well, there's a bunch of soft men coming in RJ Barrett's tree, right? Because the guy just got paid a huge amount of money. And Pudge, I agree with you. Good for you, RJ. You got paid. JP Shanahan, what's up, my guy? He says, think the fan base has gotten burned out on this whole is he staying or is he going thing. By the way, read yesterday that Mitchell deleted his Jazz section on his Twitter bio.
Yeah.
There's another one.
Yep.
Rudy Gobert, by the way, Rudy Gobert still doesn't have anything in his bio. Like, I think we get too involved in the bio stuff. If Donovan had gone and deleted every picture out of his Twitter stuff, okay, maybe I could see that. He didn't do
Twitter's
that.
been going crazy.
He didn't do that. Teddy
Yeah.
Wayman, what's up with you, my friend? Good to see you. Troy Cushing says, good morning, Monty and Jake. So where is Donnie Doppler at today? LOL. Keep up the great work. Love your show as always. Thanks, Troy.
I love that the Donnie Doppler's catching on.
But honestly, there's some bright colors on the Donnie Doppler radar.
There's a little yellow, not quite red.
No, there's quite a bit of red and blue from the Wizards. East Coast, West Side stuff. I don't know. The Donnie Doppler, I think it's 65-35. He winds up in training camp with the Jazz. 65-35.
I just think Danny's not going to acquiesce. Danny is not going to come off the price.
No,
and
I
I
agree.
think that if you're Danny Ainge, you haven't come this far
Why would you?
to exactly. Like you haven't come this far through all these conversations and texts and phone calls and communications to wake up tomorrow and be like, yeah, Grimes doesn't have to be in the deal. Let's just do this and move on. Like, that's not Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge is going to say, price is the price, take it or leave it, and that's it.
That's who we are.
Yeah, and that's where we are right now.
Good morning, Giggity. Good to see you, friend. Hope Phoenix is treating you well. M. Alvarez, what's up, my guy? Kanai Johnson, how the heck are you? Rudy Sanchez says, morning, fellas. Appreciate your time and effort for us casuals. Keep it up. Thanks, Rudy. By the way,
Yeah.
Gene Stream Gamer got his t-shirt.
Hey.
Finally. in
Dude,
the
I told you,
Philippines.
bro, it takes so long, man. And really,
Crazy.
I don't know why. It's just a shirt. It's not like I'm sending Donovan Mitchell to the Philippines, bro. It's a shirt.
I mean, it weighs less than a pound.
Come on.
So our casual
casual.
t-shirt. Our guy, Gene Stream Gamer, who watches the show in the Philippines because he's a Jordan Clarkson fan. Believe it or not, Jordan's got a lot of fans. We actually have a nice little contingent of Filipino listeners.
Yes.
And Filipinos and Filipina. And so quite a few have bought shirts and we've sent them over.
You're casual.
It takes 6-8 weeks to get them there.
It's kind of
crazy
ridiculous.
how long it takes. Holla Billy, what's up? Morning, fellas. Wondering if you guys have thought Don scrubbing the Jazz along with Louisville from his bio on socials. Louisville's another one.
Yeah.
Is Don being traded away from the Cardinal?
Excellent strategy, sir.
Let's see. East Blue Drew says no team has what the Knicks got. Totally agree
Agreed.
with that. 100% agree
Agreed.
with that. Jimmy Touchdown gives us a $5 tip. Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate you. College football kickoff tomorrow. Ohio State is blocking Big Ten expansion, and you two are talking Jazz. Utah Jizz, he says. Preseason trade rumors, not a legit sports show. You know, look, I
just don't know how we've ever done it. Like
I don't know. This show sucks so bad.
Yeah,
Like,
it's really
terrible.
it's really an embarrassment, and maybe what we should do. Let's just call Papa Murphy's. We'll use our own promo code and we'll have some pizza. That's what we'll do.
Monty
And
25. We'll get 25% off
Yeah.
a $25 purchase at Papa Murphy's Pizza.
Yeah, I mean, do you want me to just run off the set now and turn the smoker on? Because I can do
I
that.
think that's what we should
Yeah,
do.
I can do that.
Yeah. Let's see. Pudge MIC says no, Grimes will be traded. Caleb says Danny Ainge is smart. Why the F would he want Barrett's shooting splits and poor creation?
Facts.
Could be. East Blue Drew says yes. Exactly right. Rance, what's up, Rance? Good to see you, bro. Nah, he's gone. Just a matter of time. It's a rebuild. Okay. Major Money Entertainment TV says no. Only Leon feels that way after the logo said he'd be better than RJ. Okay.
Feels what way?
I don't know. Cash Out James just puts a bunch of laughing emojis. East Blue Drew says, we ain't giving up Grimes, LOL. Is Quentin Grimes really that guy? And I'm serious.
And it's a legit question.
Is he that guy? Because if you refuse, let's say Leon doesn't make this deal, right? Leon Rose says, I'm not trading for Donovan Mitchell because in 40 minutes, Harris LaChance from BYU is going to be on Monty's show. Brought to you by Papa Murphy's Pizza.
Monty 25. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Use it.
Is Leon Rose really not going to make a Donovan Mitchell trade to keep Quentin Grimes? Somebody asked me about that on Monday and was like, that doesn't make any sense.
If they don't do the Donnie deal to keep Grimes and Grimes never pans out, how are you feeling as a Knicks fan? Are you pissed? Are you like, yeah, well, that was the right choice and it is
the
what it is?
microscope that Quentin Grimes will be under this season if they don't trade him is going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Caleb says, Grimes has done nothing. Why are both teams hung up on him? Don't know. Pudge MIC says, take Fournier, Grimes, McBride, and Obi and 3 unprotected picks.
Nope. 4. Flat out, it's 4. I mean, that's what the price has been.
I'm the guy that's hung up on Emmanuel Quickly. I think you got to have him.
Well, he's shown you something. That's the thing.
I think you got to have him.
He's shown you.
East Blue Drew says, y'all crazy.
I know.
Cash Out James says, he said we have to give up our future. I don't know about that. Kay Nurin. Good morning, Kay. You cannot dictate to Danny. He's not going to be intimidated to do what you want. He will keep Don if you don't pay his price. New York will find this out. I think both Leon and Danny have done a really good job here. I'll just continue to say that. A lot of people would have folded by now.
Yeah.
A lot of people would have folded. John Hawthorne, good morning, says it's all about the picks. Jazz want 4 picks, want to give 2. I think it's about unprotected first-round picks. I know it's about unprotected first-round picks.
But here's my thing. The picks are taken care of because of the Lakers. We know for a fact that the Lakers want to be a third team in this deal.
Yeah.
So the Lakers being a third team with their 2 unprotected first-round picks makes this deal a lot easier. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm not saying you're wrong that the picks absolutely matter. That they 1,000% matter. But what I'm saying is that because the picks are covered already, essentially, that it really just comes down to that package of players. And I tend to agree with you. Well, if we're talking Quickly versus Grimes, I'm taking Quickly. Like, I think you have to take Quickly now. Like, that's not even a conversation.
And I'm curious. I don't know what people think, but I think right now that if you look at Quentin Grimes, I mean, arguably his, arguably his biggest asset right now is probably his defense. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at this Knicks team, are you counting on Quentin Grimes to put the ball in the hole? You're probably not.
No.
I mean, the way they're currently constructed, and if you, let's say you keep him and you bring in Don, I think you're still not counting on him to be an offensive force.
No, I mean, at that point, he is strictly a developmental project. You're letting him sit behind guys like Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell. You're basically sitting him behind the 8-9 guy rotation that you're running out there. And then he's going to get minutes in garbage time. And that's okay with where he's at. And I think that's kind of the point, if I'm being honest. The Grimes thing is not about who he is today or the fact that he hasn't done anything yet. The Grimes portion is, hey, what could this guy be? And that, I'm telling you, 2 years from now, when we look back on this deal either being done or not being done and the ramifications for each of those paths, that's the nuts and bolts of this conversation.
I agree. You're going to look to somebody is going to be the winner and the loser. Not today.
No.
In 3 years. Like, how much value is in Don's deal? How much value is in RJ's deal? You're going to look back at the 2022 summer, and you're going to say, boy, that's where the Knicks won this championship, or that's where the Jazz really got over and, built this team. This summer, this deal in itself.
Yeah.
I mean, and oddly, I also think this goes back to what Jeannie Buss talked about when she was talking about, hey, we want Russell Westbrook on the team, and we believe in Russell Westbrook. Like, it's an interesting thing to note. I mean, Jeannie Buss talking about how Russell Westbrook was the Lakers' best player last year.
Here's the only problem with her saying that. even though that's probably true with injuries in the conversation and everything that happened last year, and even as bad as he is as a shooter, her saying that, she puts herself at risk of coming off as someone who's just trying to smooth things out in LA. Are you saying that because you believe it, or are you saying that because you need to smooth out this trio a little bit and get Russ, committed to the club all the way?
I think she's saying that because they're not willing to send him home. I think she's saying that because if they can't make a deal, they're not willing to eat $47 million for him to John Wall it. They're not going to do that.
Wow.
They're really not. This half hour of the show brought to you by Wayman Brothers Construction, the best contractor in Utah, in my opinion. Wayman Brothers Construction, 801-654-1028. 801-654-1028. Why do I think Wayman Brothers is the best contractor in Utah? They communicate, which I think is huge. They'll call you, they'll text you, they'll email you. Mm-hmm. How you want to communicate, Wayman Brothers will do that with you. Autumn, who works in the office at Wayman Brothers, is so easy to deal with. She coordinates everything for you. When you have a question about your project, Alma Wayman, who is obviously the namesake and the guy that runs Wayman Brothers Construction, Alma Wayman will call you. You'll talk through it. He's on your job site on a regular basis. It's a family business, so whether it's Teddy Wayman, whether it's their foreman Josh, like everybody that you deal with at Wayman Brothers Construction does one thing really well: instill confidence in the work they're doing, in the process they're using to get that job done, and then their finished product is just so far over the top. It's so good that you feel really good. You know that feeling you get when you're nervous about your contractor? It's one of the worst feelings in the world. You've paid this guy $5,000 and you're like, man, is he going to finish this on time? Mm-hmm. Hey, look that doesn't look right. That's the worst feeling in the world. I've never had that feeling about Wayman Brothers Construction. And every project they do, I have enjoyed. They're doing a huge project for us right now, and it's just been a pleasure, man. The deck they did in the backyard where they built our pad for our hot tub and built a Trex deck for us. And I mean, it just was such an easy process. So if you have any work you need done at home, kitchens, bathrooms, maybe I know a lot of people are trying to add these ADUs, these dwellings, where you build a condo over your garage or you build another building on your property to drive revenue because rent is so high right now. Call Wayman Brothers Construction. There's no project too big or too small for the guys at Wayman Brothers. 801-654-1028. 801-654-1028.